Hey, Liron here. I want to share with you the ultimate exercise for painting watercolor landscapes freely, with fun, with joy, with ease. You probably know the feeling. You look at the view, you look at your reference photo, and it's very hard to tell what should I fit in, what should I leave out. And then you get bogged down by the small details and it's just a mess. So let's circumvent the entire thing. I'm going to show you how to use this exercise to go beyond that. And the cool thing is, if you actually follow this exercise, we're going to do small thumbnail paintings of the landscapes. Once you go back to a large size, trust me, it'll work the same. Okay, so you'll be blown away. So let's start with the first one, and we have this kind of a mix of landscape and a village. Okay, I call these landscapes because there are landscapes. We have the horizon line. Now check it out. Doing it this small forces you to look at the small details and to completely ignore them. You just don't care about them. All we care about is the big shapes. So we have the horizon line here. We have this entire thing that is just our village, right? And this is, by the way, in Florence. What a beautiful view from our visit there many years ago. And check it out. There is a tower here. I believe it could be a church or something like that. So I'm going to put that in because it is visible. But other than that, nothing really catches my interest too much. So we'll get started. Now, we're going to use, I think we'll use the Lebenson brush. And we're going to keep things very simple, small scale. So check it out. This is why I never clean my palette. The colors I have here are absolutely perfect. These are cool, neutral grays. Exactly what I need for this kind of sky. So what's the kind of big shapes we're seeing here? Okay, we have the clouds up top, right? And these are gray. So I'm going to place some gray clouds in there. And just for flow, I'm going to come back with some water. Now, under the clouds, where we exit the clouds, we do see some clear skies. So I'm going to add a bit of, this is cobalt blue, very kind of sunny day type of blue. And we're just going to, underneath the clouds, we're going to place down this layer of cobalt blue. And the fun thing is, look at how small this thing is. So any small inaccuracies, anything like that, you know, who cares? We barely have any details here. And anyone can do what I just did. Okay, it's super simple. Keep things wet. Look at my palette. Look at how the paint moves. Can you see that? Look at how the light sheens off, glows off my piece of paper. This is still wet, right? I'm taking all these breaks to explain stuff, and that's kind of a risky move, but that's how it is with videos. So I want to show you, I'm going to dip into my black color just to add some distinction for the clouds. Okay, I want to show you, know, there's actually a pretty big cloud here and whatever, you know. There are some clouds in the farther distance that are just light. You know, you could, if you really want to get those, and I wouldn't even bother, but just for fun, you could kind of go like this and lift a couple of these back if you really want to, you know, check it out. And then you have a couple of the farther clouds, but we don't have time or the need to think about these things because now we're going to jump into our horizon line. And for the horizon line, very fun. The horizon line is also a gray, but it's a cool gray, and it's a dark cool gray. So check it out. I'm mixing some ultramarine with some of my same kind of black color. And because it's a farther horizon line, I actually am interested in getting this smooth transition. You see this? You can increase the blueness if you wish. But overall, I'm going to add a bit of phthalo just for fun. See, I want that smooth transition. I'm going to tilt the paper just so that it doesn't go too upwards into the sky. And check it out. As we move down, we're going to have some green. So let's just get, you know, this rough kind of green. Like so. Here, it's like a mix. It even has a bit of purpley violet in it, which I'm going to add from my palette on the right side. And what I care about, because this is a small thumbnail exercise, I care about the contrast of all of these elements and the overall composition. Check it out. These elements contrast really nicely with our village. So as I move down, I'm going to clean my brush, and we're going to increase the green and yellowness of the green. When you do this, the one thing you want to pay attention to is make sure you're darker than the sky, okay? Just so that you have a good feeling of sky and land. Check it out. Now, do you have any room for error here? Will you make mistakes in this small a size? Not really. Okay, again, think about it as the overall impression. Now, instead of cleaning my brush, I'm going to switch over for the worms. Okay, we're going to separate this into two brushes. And we're going to start using this new Gambogi type of yellow, together with some, believe it or not, Pyrrole Scarlet, which I like for these purposes. And because we don't have time, room, attention to really get all the details in, check it out. Just a couple of rough shapes to indicate these are buildings, structures, whatever it is you want. And then some touches of the more, let's say, red for some rooftops, right? Beautiful rooftops. One swoosh of the brush. You don't need much more. And check it out. What do we have here? This is such a wonderful effect, wonderful structure, wonderful mess. And as we move down, in fact, I'm going to continue, go back to my greens and close off the lower section of the painting, but with the addition of some reds, because you'll notice that the foliage down below is a little more neutral, actually. And check it out. Now, we're not done yet. Let's go back and bring some of our darks into the village just to create a nice feeling of, you know, there are shadows on the rooftops. There are all sorts of interesting architectural details, right? Again, look, I don't care about the specifics. That's a beauty here. I really don't care about the specifics. All I care about is, am I conveying? You know, if I catch an actual shape here and there, yeah, I'll probably try and get that in. But for the most part, I don't really care. And some windows, maybe. It's all in the loose, abstract impression. Okay, now let's darken the foliage underneath. This is very, very important because you'll notice how dark it is and how it captures the lights. It sort of traps the lights, okay, by being darker than the lights. In fact, you can have some trees pop through if you want. You don't have to, like a tree, go over some details if you really want to. It doesn't really matter depending on the composition you're after, right? And I would say this one looks really, really nice. You get this sense of light here in the distant fields, right? That's a really nice look. You get some rooftops. You get all sorts of interesting details. If you want to get rid of some of the highlights, you can. It doesn't really matter. You can kind of fill those in with maybe kind of a light neutral, just to show, okay, yeah, these are walls. Or you could go the other way around. You can bring back some highlights, which I find is really fun, just for the purpose of, think about it this way, we're creating different shapes. Okay, so if I now go back and maybe grab some of my white gouache or whatever color you want, now I can paint the light shapes if I want to. So there's a very clear one here, so I can bring that back, right? And you can let this dry before you do it, but you know, it's such a small piece that to me it's really fun to just go ahead and do this. You know, I see a bunch of walls of buildings turn to the left, so I can portray those. I see this building in the distance has a bit of a different shape. I see this tower has a bit of light on it, right? All of these small things really contribute to the final impression, and before you know it, you have a scene. All the visual ideas are there. Everything that actually matters is there, okay? So this is our final result for the first example. Let me hold it up close just so you can see some more of the nuances. Check it out, beautiful, right? So let's do another one. And here's the plug. If you want to learn how to paint like this beautiful, free, and effortless, and get beautiful results, check out the frustration-free watercolor course, link in the description box below. And if you want to learn more directly from me, don't miss out. Check out the Watercolor Breakthrough Club, get my feedback, become a part of the community, get access to exclusive live streams. Let's get back to the processes. And let's keep to a simpler one for this example. So all we have here is a bunch of clouds, and the clouds are a bigger element of telling our story here. Okay, so I do want to make sure that I kind of have them be present. So we have one main cloud here. If I see it, if I notice it, I'm gonna draw it. Now look at how quickly we did this, right? So we're about 9 minutes in and we took our time. This is fast. In an hour, 1 hour, you can do 6 of these and really get your bang for the buck in terms of composition, technique, all of these good things. You're practicing small so that you can paint wonderful works in large. This, to me, is the ultimate exercise for painting landscapes. So let me show you how I apply it to this one. This is a little different because here we don't have, like, our clear shape isn't that village in the middle. It's actually all the fields and the lines of trees and the foliage and the clouds in the sky. So let's see how we tackle this. Here we have a kind of upside down effect where previously our clouds were, remember, they were above and below we had the bluer sky. Here it's the other way around. So let's see what we can do here. We're going to start with a blue sky. Okay, that's a nice blue. I'm going to tone it down with a bit of ultramarine, actually. And we got something that feels a little more natural than just using French ultramarine out of the tube. A problem many painters face. Don't do that if it feels unnatural. You know, use whatever colors you actually enjoy using. So we have this. Now, gray. This is mostly a gray. I don't want it to mix too much with the blue, just a bit for, you know, the feeling of familiarity and kind of like there's an overall overarching impression, but overall, you can, by the way, do this any technique. The technique doesn't matter. That's the thing. You can pre-wet if you want and then do the clouds. Let's add some warmth to the clouds. Funny enough, I think a bit of warmth here will go a long way in making them feel like they belong in the scene, okay? And you'll notice the entire bottom of this scene is just gray. The entire bottom of the sky, rather, is just a gray. Now, to break it off, let's smoothen out the shapes. And this is such a small piece. We have room to do all these adjustments. We have time. We're under no pressure. Start light, start wet. It'll give you so much time. Now, you know, these kinds of things may sound obvious, especially if you're a little more experienced, but you'd be amazed at just how revolutionary it can be if you actually take it to heart and implement these things. It's very easy to watch a video. Then in practice, it is to actually bring a concept into your work. Okay, it's much, much easier to just watch the video and maybe even believe that you've nailed it when in fact you have your work cut out for you, just like everyone else. I have my work cut out for me. In fact, let's just lift like we did earlier, just for some of the lights. I'm not one usually to use this kind of a more tacky technique, but here it works really well because we have such a small area to work with. Then the shape, the random shapes that lifting like this will create already will feel organic. Okay, usually it feels a little tacky when you do it from in a large piece. Okay, now I'm gonna mix this interesting blue-gray because our background here is quite blue if I really analyze it. So we'll start blue once again, but don't worry, as we get close to our focal point, we're gonna start greening it up, as they say. No one says this, it's just me. I'm the only person who says that. So we're gonna start greening it up. Now, it's not necessarily a gradual transition. You get to decide, by the way, but let's see what we can come up with. So same kind of yellow. Ruth is barking. Apologies if this comes through too much. So fields here, like so. A bit of yellow, just to make this a little more, you know, field-like. And already, check it out, we got a wonderful composition. I'm going to add a bit of red, like so. To make it interesting, you add reds into the greens. That's how it works. And as we move down here, check it out. I'm going to close off this shape down to here. And I'm going to add some of the trees. What? Come here, doggo. Okay, I'm going to add some of the trees. Pretty much wet and wet. Just making sure there's no weird white noise in the mic. That happened before. So a bunch of these beautiful, beautiful trees. A bunch of... See, this, you can be tempted to play around with it and darken it. I don't feel the need to. I'm going to leave it like that, this beautiful kind of vague transition. And a couple of trees here. And as we get really close. First off, you can create the roads and trails you're seeing. So I'm going to do this with white, but you can lift too. It's just such a small size that I'll just use white, okay? You could, and let me actually switch over to a small brush. This is actually a Michael Soloviev, so you get a nice little spread of different brushes that I've been enjoying lately. And you see, things can dry on us. I don't really care. It doesn't really matter in our example because it's going to look wonderful anyway. It's such a small size painting. You don't have to always have everything flow together. That's the thing. So I'm going to grab a bit more of my yellow, mix it with my white, because I want this kind of trail or road to be yellow. So check it out. Just a bit of an indication of the rolling hills. So this is going to go down and then back up. And then here we could use this opportunity to just place this bit of a lighter bit. Almost like you would with oil painting, you know, using the color here. And then you can be creative in how you use colors in your technique, right? No one says you have to paint a certain way. And right now I'm almost using, you know, opaque paint first and then feeding the areas around it with my normal and more transparent paint. You can do whatever you want. So check it out. We have the field here. Let me add a bit of phthalo blue. It feels like, see, just to make it a little more happy green and bring it closer to us. So I'm going to do this. And now, while I still have something to work with, I'm going to darken some stuff and I'm going to make some things more beautiful, basically. So we have this field here, kind of like that. Let's make the trail a little narrower. In fact, you could do this, see, and then it kind of feeds into the back. Into the back, it creates this feeling of in between, right? You could actually show the marks on the fields if you want to. So I'm going to just mix something a little stronger with my ultramarine. Sometimes you need that ultramarine for the darkness punch. And check it out. I'm just putting in the markings for the field here. They're going to be much tighter here, so I'm just going to paint over the thing. And you see you got this, and this rolling hill goes above it. And you see how you got this really nice, quaint landscape. Let me show it to you up close. It's a really nice, quaint landscape. I do see some darkness here. It's kind of rolling from the back, so you could do that too. Just kind of cover up some areas, make it more of a gradual transition if you want to add a bit of black. The thing is, when you paint this small, you have a lot of room for corrections, modifications, adjustments, all of that good stuff. I actually see a bit of neutrality here, so let's see if we can capture that. Now, the beautiful thing about these thumbnails is it's going to tell you whether a scene is worth painting large. If you find yourself really enjoying it and the big idea works and everything looks good, then it's a great indication that you can paint this large and it will look so good. So to me, the first one still is the winner in terms of that, but the second one has a real magic to it too. So let's do a third one, a little different this time. So check it out. I have this mostly sky, which is fun, and I have a bit of a kind of cityscape, not cityscape, a village-scape, if you will, towards the bottom. Now here it's a little tricky, and I think it'll be up to our interpretation, because the sky isn't actually much darker than the lower section, but I think to make it more interesting, we'll have to increase that contrast. So let's see what we can come up with. So I'm going to draw, again, if you see it, you draw it, and I see here the specific shape of clouds. So I want to actually show it. So we're going to have this one big cloud here, and it's kind of leaking down into way smaller clouds that are a little more in the distance. Now, you have my permission, you don't need it, you have my permission to actually paint the details you're seeing. So if we actually want to paint the clouds as we see them, I'm going to pre-wet. I haven't shown you this before in this video really, but let's pre-wet the clouds, see what we can come up with. Okay, so I'm going to pre-wet all the way down to the village, because that will help me also maintain some highlights, and I'll show it to you in the light in just one moment. Okay, so this goes here, this goes there. Check it out. Let's see, hopefully you will be able to see here. Here's the sheen. Can you see it? Just all the top 3/4 of the painting. You can use a lot of water, you can use little water, up to you. And I feel like the clouds are pretty much a neutral. I think I can go with a neutral here. So check it out. I'm going to start dark here. And what you'll notice me do is I'm not lifting up the brush, because what I learned with time is if you keep the brush moving on paper, you'll get less of these, spreading of the paint really. And you might want to avoid that here for starters. Now I'm going to tilt my paper a bit upwards so that the paint doesn't flow down too much. And I'm going to look strong, but I want to feed this a bit more of a dark value. And I'm going to flip this like so. Here you can create a hard edge, again with a bit of tissue, so check it out. There is a lightness underneath. So you can just do this and you're done. This is going to stay light. There's a bit of light peeking through here. If you lift that, essentially you're drying the paper so the paint won't move there. That's what you're doing. That's how it works, okay? And we'll continue feeding the paper with more of these kinds of grays. More black, in fact. A little less blue there in the distance. And see how that kind of a thing works. It creates the feeling of sky, the feeling of, and again, if you really want to dive into more details, that's a good sign that you should probably tackle this in full size, paint it large, see what happens. Now, funny enough, underneath all of this, we do have, believe it or not, a bit of a blue sky peeking through. So we can portray that, just a bit of it, don't need much. Had too much paint on the brush. Sometimes you'll have to kind of get rid of it on a spare piece of paper. Now it's gonna dry lighter, so to me, I don't mind using something that looks a little too strong now. Okay. And we've made it to the bottom. Now, if you really want to, again, crank up the contrast, you can. Now that I put in that blue, I don't want to do that. So I'll keep it as is. Now, here's the magic. Now, let me get rid of some paint here. The magic is these buildings here, they're a warm, neutral kind of a lighter value. So let's add a bit of red, a bit of this orange even. Doesn't really matter. We're looking for a neutral kind of warm color. This might be it. Ooh, I like this. Okay, so then I'm just gonna place that down here. So what I'm seeing is maybe lighter, not sure. Oh, that's too much yellow actually. Takes a bit of fiddling with it, just to get what feels right, okay? And here we have a couple of interesting rooftops that are a little stronger. So this is a rooftop, this is a building that's a little more orange, right? And maybe a couple of highlights too, if you want to preserve those. And then underneath, a really dark layer of foliage. So to get that dark layer, let's tilt the paper a bit so that the paint doesn't come back up too much. And it's pretty neutral too. So see, I'm just gonna place that down like so. A bit on the higher side here. You can even show a layer of it that's a little lighter if you want, by incorporating more of the yellow just in places, see? Kind of like this. But I wouldn't go too far here. I want to maintain this kind of separation. And if you just want to show that these are buildings and they have, all the markings of buildings, you can show that. You can show, I'm going to create a warm kind of dark, and you can indicate windows. You can indicate different architectural shapes. Again, you're very, very limited with what you can do in this small size. So if you want to paint it larger, that's a good indication to go ahead and create a larger version. But you see the overall composition is there. The overall structure is there. And again, if you really want to darken it beyond that, which you could, you can either darken the sky or you can lighten it up. So let's do an experiment in lightening it up. Let's say I want some of my rooftops to really pop. So I'm going to just introduce this strong kind of orangey light color. This is like a John Brilliant Shinhan PwC, but this one is it's by Meaden. And check it out. If I just want to highlight, an actual highlight, you can bring it back. You can create this feeling, even an entire structure, an entire tower, just to get it to feel more like in the light. So figure out where light comes from, maybe from the right, and then this right side is going to be lighter, right? Whatever it is, just to make that bit of separation. Or you could alternatively, again, darken the background. So let's look at that. So I'm going to grab some of my blue, maybe with a bit of ultramarine. It'll probably make it look a little strange, but, you know, for experimentation's sake. See? Bit of a darker background to contrast better with the buildings. And then you can smoothen it out up top into the clouds, and you create this stronger feeling of contrast. Again, there's a limit to what you can achieve with these, but check it out. Video's been running for I don't know how long, really a short time. We got 3 of these, right? Let me go over them and show to you up close. 1, 2, 3. This is super simple stuff. You can get, if you work fast and you're not going into the smaller details like I have here inevitably, you can get probably 10 of these in an hour. 10 small thumbnails, paintings, beautiful stuff, you know. And you don't have to keep it like at that. You keep the paper, you keep the paintings, cut them later, maybe preserve the organic border, cut them a bit with a bit of a gap, right? And, you know, have a pile of these and decide what you want to do with them, you know. Post them online, share them if you really want to sell your work, if you want more people to see it. This is a wonderful opportunity to make a lot of beautiful looking, small, kind of interesting sketches. And share them with the world. Maybe make a little book, you know, bind it together. Be fun, be creative about this, right? So to me, this is the ultimate exercise for painting landscapes. If you're struggling with details, with telling what's important, what's not, just zoom out. Zoom out, you'll see what's important. Use fewer colors. You'll have an easier process, a faster process, right? Find the ones that actually interest you and attract you. Go ahead and take those, turn them into larger, more detailed work that feels just fantastic, right? To me, this one definitely will get a larger version. I've been wanting to paint a scene from Florence in a long time now. I hope this was useful. If it was, I highly, highly, highly recommend you check out the Watercolor Breakthrough Club. It's going to be a link in the description box where you can get my personal guidance on your paintings, my personal feedback, become a part of the community, get access to exclusive live streams, tons of goodies. If you just want to paint loosely, check out the frustration-free watercolor course. Again, link in the description box below. You buy it, you go over it. It's like 5 hours of content, something like that, if I remember correctly. 20-something lessons, a bonus lesson, 27, I believe, lessons. There's a new lesson there too, relatively new lesson that I added as a bonus. So, and in addition to the existing bonus, there will be probably another update where I'll add another lesson or two. We'll see. But now is a really, really good time to get in. Thousands of students are already there, have already gone through the course. I have crazy testimonials. People who have experienced nirvana and finally were able to break through all the things that limited them before. So I would appreciate if you check that out. That's, by the way, what helps keep the lights on here. And, you know, I make a living from my art. I'm super grateful to be able to do that. The reality of it is you have to sell something, right? And just a pro tip to wrap it up. If you want to make money from your art, what are you selling? Are you selling the paintings? Are you selling inspiration? Are you selling education? Are you selling entertainment? Any of these things, right? You have to sell something. That's another perk of being a member of the club. You get more direct access to me and you can ask me these questions, especially if you want to build a career around your art. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. Huge thanks to everyone who supports me over on Patreon. If you want to receive credits at the end of the videos, check it out. You can just put $1 a month. You get credits at the end of the videos and know you have my heartfelt gratitude. We'll see you in the next vid. Take care.